Hi, Dan, you're muted.
Hi, sorry, we
Hello.
seem to have had some serious technical issues to kick this off with.
We're all right. It's all right. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Nobody saw anything. That's it. Start again, Dan. Start again.
In spite,
Swimming away.
against insurmountable odds, we are now live.
We are live. Welcome everybody to WPLDN lunchtime or daytime. It's a bit different. We've tried a new platform. Some of it works, some of it doesn't. I think it's down on definitely on the list of communication and connection, not perfection, is the list that we're going for today. I'm one of your hosts, Leo Mindel, from Sotic, an agency that delivers WordPress websites for governing bodies and federations in sport. Some of my other hosts today I have is Diane Wallace.
Hi.
Who will tell you all about herself.
Hello, I'm Diane Wallace and I'm a WordPress developer. I've recently been working at BrightTalk, helping them to turn lots of their shortcodes into blocks and various other Gutenberg-related goodness. But now I'm going to be doing websites for rock stars instead. So.
And if you want to know all about the block side of the business, they should have turned up for WP Hooked on Tuesday.
Yes, but there's also the chance later on in the community announcements to get more involved in Gutenberg type stuff.
Absolutely. And my other host here is Dan.
Welcome all.
What
do I
say? Dan's stressed out, but he's better now. Come on, Dan.
No, I'm good. I'm all good. It's the joys of these times. We've been trying something new here. We have developed this new platform that the intention of the platform was for us to be able to get in and try and create some sort of semblance of a live event, in that we had these multiple breakout rooms, the ability for people to move back and forth between them. And it works lovely when it works, but clearly it doesn't always work. This happens. We are, as Leo said, we're definitely going for, getting something out there rather than, we're not looking for perfection, but we do also appreciate that was far from a perfection. So there's a need, obviously, for us to do to reevaluate what's gone on there and look at an alternative solution. But thank you all so much for joining us. I appreciate it. If you've stuck around, you've hung in this long to be with us. Really good to have you with us. If you are viewing this on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, the many places that we have this being streamed at the moment, if you head over to live.bigorangeheart.org, you need to have registered for this event. You can log in with your Meetup details. You will then be able to get in. We've got what's our hallway track as a discussion going on in the chat to our right, our left. I'm not sure where it is on the screen, but wherever it is.
Don't point.
No. The intention of WPLDN Daytime is a slightly trimmed down version of our regular WPLDN event. We recognize that at this time, a lot of us are spending a huge amount of time in front of our screens. Where a lot of us are spending time, sorry, I've just said that, spending a huge amount of time in front of the screen. But we also recognise that come the evening, people may not want to spend time in front of our screens. Normally a meetup, the idea is to come together. We get together in person. We meet with one another. We get away from our screens. We recognise that asking people to do that again in the evenings, some people may not appreciate that. So we wanted to do a shorter, trimmed down version where we can come together at lunchtime on a Thursday afternoon. So we're going to make this a regular thing. We're going to clearly sort out the issues that we've had with the hallway tracks, but I hope that this part of it is what you have come to know and love from the WPLDN team. So I'm just going to pull up some slides, which shouldn't be showing the browser window as they are, but you know what? Everything else has gone so...
We're going to go with it. We're going with it.
It's a less formal event.
It's definitely less formal than less polished. Okay, present is going to hit the percent.
Oh, brilliant! Let's take that away and let's get this done properly. This bit we normally do pretty slick, so
it's all right. It's okay.
Okay, I'm going to try that one again. And now we're on complete. Honestly, this could not be going more wrong if it tried. But let's keep it going, shall we?
Yeah, we'll stagger through to the end.
Okay. We'll stagger halfway, yes. Yeah, sorry about this. Okay, so I just mentioned obviously WPLDN daytime and the theory behind it, why we're doing it. We'd love to hear your thoughts on it. We'd love to hear what you think of the idea of having these meetups throughout the daytime. We want to make sure that the things we're doing for you, the community, and doing it well. I appreciate that not all of it is being done particularly well at the moment, but let's laugh about that. These events are made possible thanks to Big Orange Heart. Some of you may have picked up on the fact that we have pivoted WPN Up, a registered charity, into Big Orange Heart. Our mission within Big Orange Heart is to support and promote well-being and mental health within the remote working communities. So we're very close to our previous mission, but we've expanded. We've gone out to support a wider community. As I've mentioned, if you are on any of our social profiles, if you visit live.bigorangeheart.org, you should be able to get in with your meetup registration and join in the chat that's happening in the hallway track at the moment. Your hosts this afternoon, I almost said this evening, myself, Dan Maybe, at the bottom of my screen at the moment, Diane, and in the middle there, Leo. Not sure where Paul's gone, but he's around here somewhere helping out in the background. So thank you very much.
His internet died.
Oh no!
Just to add to it. Yep.
Yes.
There you go.
Okay, I just want to say before we go into our talks this afternoon, I just want to say a very quick thank you to our sponsors. The WordPress multilingual plugin Weglot, translate and display your website in different languages. Dolly, a turnkey solution for WordPress product vendors, agencies, and developers. Visit getdolly.com for more details. And Yoast, the search engine optimization plugin for WordPress, SEO for everyone. Again, if you visit yoast.com for more details. And a number of companies have supported us by giving time this. I've really got to get into the fact that we're actually at lunchtime. We're not in the evening, aren't we? A number of companies have supported us this afternoon. Blue 37, a strategic team of digital experts. Paul Smart, web design, marketing, and consultancy for businesses who seek growth through digital. And Sotic are a digital sports agency delivering high-profile, high-traffic sites on WordPress. So on to this afternoon. As I've mentioned, this is a slightly smaller, slightly trimmed down version of WPLDN. So we just have the one speaker, and we are graced with the wonderful presence of Leo Mindel as our speaker this afternoon. So thank you very much, Leo. Really looking forward to your talk in a moment. But we'll go into more details covering off what that is in a minute. Before we do that, I want to jump into our community announcements. So it's an opportunity, if we're aware of anything that's going on in and around the community, to share those with us right now. So maybe we want to jump into the chat in the hallway track there, or in the main track, and let us know if you're aware of any events that are going on. Maybe you're aware of things that us as a community need to be made aware of. So please feel free to share. Have we got anybody in there at the moment, or should
we do have a number of people in there who are commenting. I'm trying to get. I'm only facing now 5 screens in front of me, and I think I've run out of eyeballs, so I can't look at all of them. So I'm just running out of things to look at. But yes, number of people in there, which is really good. There is quite a comment, which because it's the nice thing about this is we aren't just in the UK anymore. And people are coming and watching this from all around the world and seeing how successful we are at delivering this today. So it's great to have those comments from other people and how they're enjoying their day. So that's it, and set it up. And Robert, the short version of Robert, just to thank him also, is somebody I met on the WP Feedback event, which was 2 weeks ago. There has been a number of these events which have been really good, and I met him on that event 2 weeks ago. Then last week was the one from Lee Jackson running agency
Transformation Live.
Transformation. There you go. I've broken words.
Yes. Excellent. I've just pulled up on the screen there as well. Robert, thank you for sharing that. We've got Big WP VIP tonight. That's another. It'd be interesting actually, Robert. Maybe you could share. Is that which city that one is? Because I appreciate there are big WPs globally at the moment. I'm not too sure which one that is.
We'll have to ask Simon. I like this comment. And I like the fact that it's unknown. It's probably Mick, wasn't it? Dan, Diane.
I think that kind of. I think I can hear Mick doing Duolingo rather than supporting us by watching what we're doing online today. So.
Fantastic.
But I'm glad that someone thinks we're greatly successful. So obviously a latecomer.
WP America's New York it was.
Yes. Yeah, brilliant. Thank you. I appreciate sharing that with us. Okay, we've also got a few other things to cover off. There are a lot of community events obviously moving, well, almost every community event moving over to a virtual event right now. If you want to keep on top of that, make.wordpress.org/community/events/online is the place to check it out. There are, I think last time I looked, there was some in the region of about 50, I think maybe nearly 60 WordCamps that had been moved to an online venue, which is it's fantastic efforts by the community to make that happen. We appreciate how difficult it can be running online events. The WordCamp Europe being one of those. So the team have moved WordCamp Europe to an entirely virtual event running 4th to 6th of June. So that's going to be introducing a virtual contributor day, which I'm really interested to see how that works out and what happens around that. So it's going to be the 4th of June for the contributor day. The first speakers.
The tickets have already sold out for the contributor.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I believe there are still tickets for the main event, aren't there?
Main event, there's still tickets. Contributors already sold out. I know that ABBA has been working really hard on the contributor day along with the other people organising that. As you say, I think it's going to be a really successful event, and it's going to be really interesting to see how they deliver that.
Absolutely, yes. Okay, and as the first speakers have now been announced, so interesting to see the lineup coming up. Moving on, this was I think a bittersweet, for Elemental. Fantastic week, celebrating 5 million active installs, which is quite an achievement by anybody's standards. But also we then had the reports of a combined attack between Elementor Pro and Ultimate add-ons for Elementor being flagged up by WordFence, which stated that somewhere in the region of 1 million sites being impacted by this vulnerability. So I think it's always an interesting one, isn't it? That you have this phenomenal success with these products, but of course with that comes this incredible responsibility to ensure that the product remains safe and remains. I appreciate. There's a lot.
I think it's a testament of, as you say, the fact that you become in the spotlight then means that people will look at your product in detail, which is, as you say, is a good and a bad thing. And we were discussing before the fact that there isn't just this the thing with Elementor. There's been a number of cross-site scripting issues that have popped up in the last 2 or 3 weeks. I feel more than normal. It makes me feel that there's people sitting at home bashing away at things, but I think there was, I may have the figure wrong, but I think it was 8 in core in the revision that got released for WordPress about a week and a half ago.
Yeah. Yes, there's obviously a lot of activity at the moment. A lot of activity around this. I think we were reporting at the last WPLDN this increase on the cross scripting as well. So interesting times at the moment. Cool. Okay. So moving on, we've got JS for WP conference coming. So the application to speak at JS for WP, the JavaScript for WordPress conference, is now open. Interesting. They've got a number of requirements, if so to speak, on the website. So if you visit javascript4wp.com/conference/apply to speak, you'll see they've got 2 tracks covering Gutenberg and headless WordPress. So they're looking for talks specific aspects of JavaScript, React, and or libraries, or tools that are good topics. Application deadline is the 1st of June, so we've got a couple of weeks to get that one in. Have we got any budding JavaScript speakers in the room here right now?
Somebody said to me, maybe do my Gutenberg talk that I did at WP Hooked, but since Leo said that everyone fell asleep,
I don't believe
I didn't say I fell asleep. I said it went over my head on the my knowledge, but which is actually a very good thing for a tech talk. That's a positive comment.
That is. If we can go over Leo's head.
Yeah, absolutely.
Quite a challenge.
Yeah, as you will see.
Swiftly moving on.
My talk.
As I mentioned at the start, WP Up has now pivoted into Big Orange Heart. So if you visit bigorangeheart.org, you'll find out a bunch of information, what's going on there, what we're doing, why we're doing it. We are supporting a wider community, looking at the remote working communities, looking at well-being, looking at mental health. They're important topics, particularly at this time. There's obviously a huge number of us are currently working from home, and this, as we move forward, we may be seeing many more companies moving into the distributed team model that so many of us are already familiar with. We are definitely not turning our back on the WordPress community. We are absolutely grounded in the WordPress community as well, where we are continuing all the activities as we have done, running this event, for example. But the focus is enabling us to support many more people. We really would appreciate your support if you are able to at this time. Just $10 a month. It really does make an enormous difference for us to be able to support thousands of people within our community and wider. So if you have the ability, $10 a month would be greatly appreciated. So we are a registered charity, and every penny goes directly into delivering professional mental health support and wellbeing support into these communities. We've also had some incredible support from some fantastic sponsors, and I'd really appreciate it if you're out there right now, if you could, in your browser, visit bit.ly/BOH-thanks. That will put together a tweet for you, and then just hit send. It would send out that tweet thanking all of these companies that are supporting us, that are enabling us to deliver these events, as well as so much more. So I really would appreciate it if you wouldn't mind hitting bit.ly/BOH-thanks. Okay, as this is a shortened version of WPLDN, and as we have already overrun, I'm going to introduce you to Leo. In fact, Leo, I think you can do a far better job of introducing yourself than I ever could at this moment. So Leo, we're going to hand over to you. Leo's going to be giving us his talk this afternoon. There will be a live Q&A session after his talk. So please, as he's talking, drop your questions in the chat on the right-hand side of the screen if you're in live.bigorangeheart.org, and we'll make sure we get those questions asked at the end. So Leo, are you all good to go?
I'm ready to go, Dan.
You're good to go. Fantastic.
Thank you, Dan. Thank you, Diane.
We'll see you on the other side.
Thank you. Okay. Do you ever stay awake at night worrying about things to do with your company? Do things that you are dealing with keep you stressed out? How does that work? The talk today is about what happened with Sotic and how some of those stresses have gone away. For those of you who don't know who I am, the company is Sotic. We deliver sites to governing bodies and federations in the world of sport. Some of those names and some of those people you should recognise if you like sport. So we decided about 4 years ago that we were going to move over to cloud. We had our own platform and it was our time to move and see where we were going to go. We planned a migration. It's a great word, planned. What does a planned migration look like? You document everything that you're going to do. You find a partner. We found a really great partner. We migrate everything to that new platform, and lo and behold, well done, we turn an old platform. That's exactly what you want to do. That's what happened. It didn't go the way that we had planned. So a lot of it did. So let's not underestimate. We documented everything. Lots of that was put together. We worked out all of our dependencies. We chose a really good partner to work with, and we started migrating our platform. We migrated our applications, and we did the one thing I think that everybody talks about, and they said, no, we can either lift and shift everything, or we can actually, at the same time, we will evolve and we will move forward. If you ever get developers in particularly involved in this, it's like, oh, well, at the same time, we can do this, this, and this, and this. And we just added in complexity. About 18 months into that project, we were about 300% over budget in terms of the work to do it. And we had created a lot of the bits that we wanted to do, but we hadn't migrated. We were still live. And we were still happening. Along came the 18th of March 2018 at 14:03. Now, I know lots of people will say they remember where so happened and while the other things happened. A moment in time for me was that. The picture on the left-hand side that you can see there is our old platform. It was in Cardiff. The night before, my daughter had been in a dance show, and we'd come up to see my daughter in the dance show. And then while I was sitting in the dance show, my mobile phone pinged, and it said, the old former said, disk array, one disk had died. Okay, fine. It's not really a big issue. We're running on a big array system. A hotspot spare will just slot in straight away, and we'll just continue on. 25 minutes later, I get the ping to tell me that hotspot spare disk has gone live. Everything is absolutely fine. No problem. So I'm driving back the following day. It's a Sunday. And I'm driving back. And I said to my wife, we're just passing the data center. I'm just going to pop in and change this dead disk, new disk. Nothing really exciting. I'll be 15 minutes. I go into the data center, pull out the old disk. There's a brand new, take the brand new disk that's sitting in the wrapper, that had been sitting in the data center for months and months being ready because you should have them all the right temperature. I put it into the slot of the one that had died. Watched the light start flashing, all looked good, carried on driving down from Maidenhead back home. About another 10 minutes into the journey, I suddenly get a call from one of the other managers in the company. Something's gone wrong. And I said, well, what's gone wrong? He said, the whole of our old platform we can't see. I'm like, what? Of course, I'm sitting there going, have I replaced the right disk? Have I done that? Rushed home, dropped off my wife and daughter, and then carried on, and then literally drove straight back to the data center. Yes, I had changed the right disk. Yes, I put in a brand new disk. But what had actually happened is that brand new disk and the hotspot spare that he'd been building on both failed. The whole data array system had died. We had no data array. So what did we have to do? We had to make a decision. And it was one of those decisions that I'm sure many of you have faced in your business where you're going, do I go forward or do I go back? We had 80+% of our stuff over to the cloud. We had most of the things working. We just had the remainder of stuff. We decided to push forward. 1 week later, everything had been moved over to the cloud. Everything had migrated, and everything that we needed had been brought over. We lost one database that we actually didn't need anyway. So we delivered. And we delivered to the cloud. And I would argue that if that disk had never failed, we probably would still be running with that equipment. How many of you are sitting there with that, the other laptop, not the last laptop, the laptop before, still sitting in the shelf, just in case you need it? Well, we were there with our old system running like that. Week later, I'm asleep. Why? Because I can actually, literally at night time, I don't have to sit there going, is that working? Is that running? Isn't it running? And the stress level that we were finding from running our own platform and then moving over to the cloud, once we've moved over, that stress just disappeared. So I've talked a little bit, or I've mentioned this thing called the cloud. And so what is the cloud, and what does it matter to the majority of WordPress companies that deliver using WordPress? There's lots and lots of things where people talk about the cloud, and this is now becoming mature in a lot of areas. The main thing I'm talking about is where you're talking about infrastructure as a service. In other words, you are saying, I want this specification to be running on this equipment. So that's this computer, this environment, so this processor, this amount of memory, etc., etc. But I'm not actually buying it. I'm buying that as a service. So I'm saying I'm going to be using that. There are a number of different types of cloud out there. The ones that you may hear about are public and private and hybrid. I'm not interested or not going to talk about private cloud or hybrid. These are all really aimed at IT companies or at the internal infrastructure for your organization or big organizations. The majority that I deal with is public cloud. So that's where we're dealing with something that you as a WordPress supplying agency can actually utilize. And there are two types of tiers of that. There's tier 1 where you're talking directly to the provider, and there's tier 2 where there's an intermediary. So tier 1 providers that we mainly deal with, there's actually another one here, but most people wouldn't in this environment wouldn't use it. They are AWS and Google Cloud. The other one that's in there at the moment that people do talk about is Azure, but if you're going to run WordPress on Azure, that's another discussion. On the tier 2s, and this is just an example of some, there are a lot more out there, but the tier 2s that I typically come across are people like Cloudways, WP Engine, Kinsta, Run Cloud. They give you the ability for you to buy and put your websites, your WordPress environment into there. And there are a number of others out there, but they're the key ones. So why am I going on about this? What's this of interest to you, and what's this of interest to people that are involved in it, and where's the benefits? So let's start with some of the straightforward benefits. The benefit of scaling and uptime. I talked about it earlier. I am able to literally not worry about the phone going ping at 3 o'clock in the morning to tell me a disk has died. I don't have to care. I don't care. Scaling and uptime, I can deliver all of those things there. Security and disaster recovery. This is a really interesting discussion about disaster recovery in cloud, because actually you're not owning the stuff. You're not owning the backups. So how does it deliver where you're going to be? In a way, we're all waiting for the first major outage of a cloud system. But the idea is they're responsible for the thing that you used to be responsible for. And if a piece of hardware dies, you move over to another piece of hardware. If a whole platform or an environment dies, in theory, you should be moving over to somewhere else. A big area for you benefits is the increase in your development curve. You can, and I'll cover more of this here. The one that it's normally sold on, but I'm not a big believer in, is cost reduction, particularly in hardware. It will save you money moving to the cloud, but in a different way. It's not going to literally say, oh, well, we're going to turn off this cost and we're not going to have it. So there are cost savings, and they are very good, but they're not mainly where people who sell it say. So, scaling and uptime. As I said before, we deliver websites in the sports environment, and for some of the sports fans out there, they may recognize this. If you remember, sports was the thing we did about 12 weeks ago, but doesn't exist anymore. So this is the Guinness Six Nations website, one of the sites that we deliver, and this is all delivered on WordPress. This is from the second or third round of last season. And what we had, sorry, round 2, I should say, it's right in front of me, is that we had, on that weekend, there were 3 games. Scotland, Ireland, and Italy, Wales were on the Saturday, and then the England-France game on the Sunday. Using cloud and using containers, we are able to scale during the games. So the elements on the left-hand side are the Saturday. As you can see, the graph went up. We scaled up to a high level, and then it plateaued and stayed plateaued across for 2 games and then dropped down. On the Sunday, the game on Sunday had a higher traffic, so it went up faster and a higher level, but as that game then finished, it dropped down. What is this showing you? This is showing the number of containers. So this is in effect the number of website servers running behind to deliver this website. During that time, as you can see, that dropped. It goes roughly from somewhere in the flat line at the bottom is around about 8 to 10. The top is running around about 30 containers, somewhere in that sort of ballpark. That's how we deliver the scaling and uptime. Question that I normally get asked when I'm in a room, and nobody's in a room with me at the moment, is that how much does that cost? For the scaling and uptime for that period, we're paying around about an extra £150. So it's not absolutely a fortune, but that's on top of what we're paying because of the platform anyway. So what does it mean about load? Now, I was at this game, Wales versus England. Anybody from Wales who's here will now be cheering and whooping because this was the game when Wales won the Grand Slam against beating England, and they beat England in the last, literally the last kick of the ball. For us, we delivered this site. As I said, just remember, this is a WordPress website, exactly the same stuff that you're using, but a slightly different thing. I can see Dan in the background, by the way, who's not shaking his head because he didn't enjoy this game. We delivered that website, and at that time, and just that figure, 49,764 unique visitors in a minute. That's 1 minute is how many people are using that site live. Out of that, and I think another very interesting figure is, as you can see, there was only 7% of that traffic was coming from the desktop. So when you're sitting there with your client who's saying, oh, I'd like to proof this website on the desktop and it's how it looks on the desktop, just remember that's how a lot of sites, particularly B2C sites, look from the delivery point from who actually uses the website. But that's 49,000. That's a bit. We really wanted to hit 50,000 in that minute, but we just didn't. But there you go. That's the real figures. So what does it mean in terms of development curve? And this is probably the bit where I should actually hand over to someone like Diane, who understands all of the techno stuff better than I do. But I'll explain, or I'll try to. On the left-hand side is the old Welsh Rugby Union website, and on the right-hand side is the one that was then when we moved over and we delivered both in cloud and also changed over to WordPress. And you can see the figures there. They're using a product that we use called Speed Curve. So you can see the differences in both the speed, the performance. So we're load times, as you can see. And I know we can have a discussion about what's a load time. Do you work on the load to first byte or how fully loaded, etc., etc. The point is we're comparing like for like, and we're seeing every single thing on here faster, with I think 2 exceptions. And that is the proof of it. We're able to deliver the sites faster. We're able to deliver the sites scalable, and we're able to take our pressure off ourselves in dealing with all of that technology. So I like this. This is another way of showing that. This is the websites on this list that we're looking. Again, this is speed curve, and you can go and use this against any of your sites, against any of your competitors' sites, or anything you want to do. The site that we deliver is the one in sort of gold down the bottom there, the Six Nations Rugby at 1.4 seconds load time. The other sites there are other sites that you should, or may, if you're a sports fan, recognize as different sites. The one we always benchmark against is the Guardian newspaper. Unfortunately, we don't deliver the Guardian newspaper, but the Guardian newspaper is a great site to benchmark yourself against to see a performance, because they really do perform well. And this is about the loading and the speed of that. So what does that look like in a real world? This is literally taken as a video that is done through speed curve and shows you those sites loading in real time. And as you can see, the Guardian newspaper came in at 4 seconds. We were 3.2 when I took this screenshot. Southampton 9, and the Premier League in football 9.7 seconds. So we are 3 times faster than the Premier League. The Wimbledon is a little bit of an oddball one in there, that I believe the reason that shows so slow is it's a PWA. So if you are building PWA websites, you may find that the first loads are off, but that's because you're downloading a big manifest file to deliver it. So you've got to be careful and aware of that. But it shows you that. Now, I know that a number of people, including Amazon, said how much of a difference it makes per second in terms of revenue generation. But when you compare the Six Nations site at 3.5 seconds to the Premier League at 9.5 seconds, that's twice as fast. That makes a massive, massive, massive difference. This is where everything stops. Why did it all stop? So, disaster recovery and security. One of the nice things about being on cloud is that you're able to sit there and say, I want another version of that site. I want to be able to roll up. I want to go back. I want to go forward. Our databases, we take snapshots of our databases every night, and we are able to literally roll and upload and have a database sitting there tomorrow. Something that in the past where you would be scrabbling to find additional hardware to try and plumb in to build a backup environment, you have everything there. You've got simplify failover and disaster recovery. Again, I do think this is a real area that we're not sure, because cloud has been brilliant and everything has come, but I'm sure we're going to hit the days, and I'm sure some people have, where cloud doesn't deliver because something major goes out. But up until now, we found that the way we can deliver with cloud has been exceptional. The cost reduction. As I said, this is a bit of a funny one, but I'm going to try and the positives and negatives. Our cost reduction on the left-hand side, as you can see, there's been ups and downs, and this is our general costs of our whole of our platform delivery. You will see there is a big jump between the figures that we were showing in the past, which are the ones, say, in the orange figures where we were. So on 2016, we'd started the project. Then 2017, we had a double because we ended up with both platforms running, and you end up with double the costs. Then we had reductions that come down, and then the reductions since then have been going smoother. And one of the key things with cloud is it's really, really easy to scale something up and leave it turned on. I think everybody who ever has their own cloud will have war stories about how somebody turned something on, left it on, forgot about it, and then you only know about it when the bill comes in. It's very, very easy to leave that tap running. But if you manage and maintain your cloud environment, and it is a manage and maintain, you will be able to reduce your costs. You need to be looking at that and continually doing it. But the cost savings are soft costs. A, you can deliver things faster. because you're able to sit there and scale up and build a new environment very quickly and test it out with your customer. But we found that we have a 74% reduction out of hours and weekend support. That means that we are not spending, my staff are not spending all their time dealing with issues or dealing with problems that costs me money. It costs me money and it costs them stress. And I think the word stress reduction of a soft cost is amazing. This is amazing difference, and it's made a better balance. It's made people spend more time on development, less time on support, more time on doing what they want to do, and less time working on the environment. We are a hosting delivery company, and then we'll take responsibility for the hosting, but we are not going to be a hosting ownership company. That isn't our core business, and we are able to stick on what our core business is. And if you are interested in delivering your sites, and I always believe, it's my personal belief, we have to be owning that part because of the service level agreements and delivering out to our customers. But actually the horrible, actually sitting there going, a disk has failed and I have to rush to the data center, is an environment that I just never want to be in again. And, something that we're not doing. So it's allowed us to concentrate on our business. It's allowed us to scale. It's enabled us to, when we sit there with a customer and the customer says, or we get a new customer, we want to bring in somebody, we can literally onboard and bring in customers in half the time that we were able to in the past. We can be flexible on cost. As I said, you need to look at the costs and continue doing that, and continually improving your technology. What I mean by continually improving your technology is that you're able to sit there and go, well, there's a new version of something, I want to try it out. You can literally say, spin that up, put it on another box, try it out and see if it works. And that has been a big benefit. And it means that barrier of having to, I remember back in the days where I would have to requisition boxes and have to wait 4 weeks for something to arrive before I could try it out. And you never knew if it was going to be a benefit. So it's made a major, major, major difference. And as I said, and it's key in this environment of the world in, has created a better staff well-being and have made my staff happier because they're not dealing with things that they don't have to deal with. So that is about how I moved and the things that I did to moving to cloud. If you want to follow up with me, and there is a very big, hopefully you can scan your screen and you should be able to link up with me in LinkedIn and come and ask me some questions. So I thank you for that time. I'm now going to put it back and hopefully bring on Dan and Diane.
Leo, thank you so much. Really grateful for you for doing that, giving that talk. There's so much there that you've covered. It's a big topic, isn't it? There's a lot to cover when you're talking about cloud and where we're going, what we're doing with it.
There is.
Yes.
And glad to see that went off without a hitch, as far as I can tell.
Yeah, my machine's gone a bit slow in the middle of all of that, but I don't quite know why. But that's it. I think my picture's slowed down, but that's life.
That's right. Okay, so we've had a question come in. Let me just grab the details there.
Yep, great.
Oh no, that's not a question at all, is it? That's the wrong statement.
If it's a rude comment, I probably could guess who it's from, but yeah.
Paul asking, hey Leo, are you using Cloudflare or any caching plugins at all?
Good question, Paul. Yes, I hope you and everybody at your company are well, Paul. We are using CDN on the front end. We're using Highwinds, which is the one that we use for most of our stuff. But everything that we deliver is using CDN delivery on the front end.
Excellent. And are you? So, did you say you were predominantly using AWS?
Yeah, I mean, this is a really interesting conversation when people say to you which CDN, sorry, which cloud provider do you go to, and do you use a mix, and this, that, and the other. I think our view always was that we wanted to move and migrate to one provider first, so remove the legacy of non-cloud environment, and then from there move it forward to be able to do other things. But at the beginning, it was to move ourselves over to cloud. When will we stay on AWS? I think there will be parts of it that we will stay on. We may stay on it completely, but I think there is a lot that we would argue we would look at other things as well. Now we're over to cloud, we have that ability to look at different issues and different things.
Excellent. We've got a question coming in from Nathan. Do you have to have any expectation of how much traffic per minute you will get, or is it all 100% automated?
Okay. So thank you from Scarborough. The question, so the way it works with the stuff that we built is there's two ways to scale. The first way is the one that we're used to, which is that you scale vertically. In other words, that you sit there and you go, I need this box to be bigger, so I go from 4 gigabytes of RAM to gigabytes of RAM. That's a pretty typical thing what we're all used to in, but you have to do it in advance. The thing that cloud enables you to do is horizontally scale. So I've got a box with 2 processors and 4 gig of RAM, whatever. I can put another box, another container with identical next to it, and another one, and another one. So that's the big thing that cloud enables you to do. And when you start scaling horizontally, there is no limit. So you literally have to scale to meet your requirements. What you need to do is make sure that you scale when you need that, and critically make sure you scale back down when you don't. Otherwise, you'll just get a bill for things that you don't need. So that's the way that cloud does it. And you can do this through Amazon. You can do it with their ECSs, or you could do it with something like Kubernetes. There are lots and lots of things. This is becoming much more consumer friendly. And people, as I mentioned, some of those second tier people do this all for you.
Mm-hmm. Excellent. I see we've got one coming from Tim here. Let's grab the details. So Tim, there are a few projects looking at making heavy use of serverless, and then he follows up with, "Are you doing anything with Lambdas?" Oh, sorry, I can't see it from here. And is it Lambdas?
Lambda.
Sorry. Yes, sorry. Thank you.
And
things like BREF.
Right. Okay. So we effectively deliver our WordPress websites in a headless environment. It isn't quite a Jamstack, but it's not far off it. So anybody that actually talks to, when you hit one of our websites, and this is it goes to the CDN, which then talks to the back end, or to what we call as our origin site. But our origin site is disconnected from the live environment. This is absolutely the way that people are going to go to build that scalability, because if you imagine once you've printed out a flat version of a page or elements of that page, the traffic load is easily scalable because you're not hitting your database. Think of it similar if you were taking a Word document. The minute you print it out as a PDF, you can then print off 1,000 copies of it. It's much easier than having to render it every single time, which is effectively what some things on WordPress do. There are limitations with this. There are limitations in things like in some plugins which want to talk back to the database. A good example of that would be something like a contact us form. But there are other ways when you use third-party services like Riddle. They do all of that for you, so you don't actually talk back to your own database. That's the way we get around it. It is a really interesting and growing environment. I mean, we had on our last WPLDN, we had Miriam in from Stratic. And what Stratic are doing is creating effectively a very similar environment to the one that Sotic have built, but enabling other people to use it. Thank you, Tim.
Yes, thank you. And I mean, on that, if you check out the bigorangeheart.org site, it's actually hosted on Stratic, so you can see the speed benefits of what they've created there. But not only speed, there's many benefits to it. Okay, I think if we wrap up there, because this is meant to be a slightly shortened version of WPLDN.
Yeah, it was a bit longer at the beginning.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm just going to pull up our final slides very quickly. Just going to run through a couple of things. But first, Leo, thank you so much for giving your time and giving that talk.
Leo.
Welcome.
Really appreciate that. Okay, so quickly, I just want to say a thank you to our sponsors that specifically sponsor this event, Weglot, Dolly, and Yoast. We're incredibly grateful for companies that enable us to be able to have these events. I'm scared to put this one up. wpldn.uk/feedback. We would love to hear what you've got to say on this this format, this time. What do you think of a WPLDN daytime? Do you think it's a good thing? Do we want to continue seeing it? Do we want this middle of the day style event? We'd love to hear from you. That if you hit that URL, you'll be redirected to a Google form. You'll have to fill out no more than 4 questions. We're not collecting any data. We don't want to know email addresses, names, or anything like that. We just want to know what you think of the events. So the next one, the next event we'll be running will actually be the fully fledged WPLDN, our regular evening event. So that is the last Thursday of every month. So that'll be coming up on the 28th of May, 2 weeks today. We'll also be running our next WPLDN daytime, so that will be the 11th of June. It'll be a little bit smoother that next time, we promise.
Time to get over the trauma and just remember the good stuff.
Yes, absolutely. I hope you have enjoyed this. Again, apologies for the issues that we had at the start of the event. I don't think at this stage there's much point of us going back into the breakout rooms. Feel free to give it a try. Feel free, if you're in there and there are people chatting, then feel free to have those conversations. The hallway track and the breakout rooms are all open, so feel free to jump in them. We've actually kept.
Do we want to go back into the Zoom?
Yes, I was just about to say that. We've actually kept the Zoom call open. It is sitting there. I've just dropped the URL to the Zoom call in the live chat. So if you're in live.bigorangeheart.org, feel free to click on that, jump into a Zoom call. We're going to be in there for a while, have a bit of a conversation, maybe pick up on some of the things that Leo has covered off in his talk. Feel free to join us if you are about. The call is open right now. Other than that, I want to say a big thank you. Diane, thank you. Appreciate you giving your time. Appreciate you being here.
Thank you.
Helping out. Leo, thank you so much, obviously, for being here presenting, but also for giving a talk.
No problem.
Big thank you to all the other team in the background, Giles, Paul, everybody else that's out there have been doing stuff to support us. And again, we will be back very soon with a much smoother iteration of the site. We hope you enjoyed it. We shall speak soon.
Bye-bye, everyone.
Take care. Bye.